All right, boys and girls, welcome to Excuse My Frenemy, the podcast where we talk about some of the big topics in sports, and where two fans of rival teams try to put their sports allegiances aside, but will probably fail to do so. That's right, we are back. Happy New Year, happy 2022. Hope everything's going good for everybody. Thank you for giving us a listen. My name is Sean Brady, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Katie Cabrera. What is going on, KC?
What is going on, everybody? Happy to be back. Happy 2022. Thank you for reminding me that I was writing 2021 on all my homework assignments. So thank you, Sean. But already a lot of drama going into the year, a lot of kind of news going on, kind of old news going on, and a lot of sadness going on. So let's get right into it.
On this episode, we're going to talk about the NFL playoffs. We'll give our thoughts on who should win the NFL awards. We're going to also talk about the college football playoff and the championship. Wrap up with a hodgepodge of topics because it's been a while since we've done this and a lot of things have happened. So we want to give them a little bit of credit while we can, but we're just going to blast through a lot of topics at the end. So with that, let's get it going with our first topic, the NFL. All right, Katie, did you get a chance to see any of the outstanding games from Week 18?
Yes. No,
Great elaboration.
I did. I mean, besides the fact that my beloved Seahawks are not in the playoffs, but it's okay. We tried, and
I'm sorry. What was that part you broke up? Can you say that one again?
Anyways, you could play this playback again once you have it out. Our especially our listeners are gonna be Let's hear her say it again. Nope, I'm not saying it again. But I do want to comment on a special game that I did see because of my beloved fiance, the Niners versus the LA Rams. I got to say, that was a really good game. And it was a very close game. Honest to God, I thought the Rams were going to take this one. But I saw how the Niners just put them to shame at the end. They ended the game a well ending. So I thought that was a really good game. I thought, excuse my French, I don't know how to say his last name because I'm not really a fan, but I know someone in my... Thank you. Yes, him, the quarterback, Niners quarterback. He did really good passing the ball. Like, he was not nervous. You could tell he had a sense of direction. He knew where receivers were going to be, and he ended the ball where they needed to go. So I thought it was overall a great game. I got to say, a rookie that ended the game with the interception at the end, bravo on that overtime too. So that's what my highlight was. How about you, Sean? I know.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Garoppolo because he actually delivered in crunch time, which has kind of been his knock.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm starting to wonder, and I've actually heard other people asking the same question. If he wins a playoff game or two, does he come back next year? Especially if they're still unsure if Trey Lance is ready? Big question mark, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Trey Lance was ready, he would have played more than he did this year. One would assume.
Right. But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of upcoming still, though. Isn't he? Or is he not?
Well, Garoppolo's kind of had the game manager label, and so when they drafted Trey Lance, the writing was on the wall, so to speak. But if he's playing good and Trey Lance isn't quite ready, they might bring them both back next year and run it back. But nobody would have expected that 3 weeks ago. If I'd said that out loud, I would have been laughed out of the room. But now it's a realistic possibility.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we should see. I mean, I think what if he takes them to the Super Bowl? Do you see that happening?
Oh, if he takes them to the Super Bowl, he's coming back.
Okay. See?
Yeah. There's no way. Like Trey Lance, you're still on a rookie contract. You can sit another year and learn some more.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to see how the Super Bowl will turn out, especially during the playoffs. I want to see how he does it under pressure, if he still delivers the way he did for this last game. I mean, if so, they might just keep him for longer, more than the 2 years that we expect, but we'll see.
So, like, I watched that game, and as the game ended, I kind of quietly was asking myself, was that the game of the year? Like, I was struggling to think if there was a game that might have been better in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then that thought immediately went out the window after I watched the Vegas Raiders play the LA Chargers.
Let's not get started.
Given the stakes and everything that was involved and the potential of a tie knocking out Pittsburgh, ladies and gentlemen, that was the game of the year. Don't at me. Don't argue with me. That was it. Period.
Yeah, I have never seen two teams just go back to back to back. And knowing that they both could have been in it, I've never seen such an eagerness to say, nope, I'm putting you right back down to the ground.
Oh, well, you know me, how much I dislike the Steelers. I was praying for a tie. Well,
Yeah.
multiple reasons. One, I think the Raiders deserve to get in, especially the year they had with Gruden getting fired, and just their ability to be resilient was awesome. And on the other side, my soon-to-be personal favorite player, Justin Herbert, was potentially going to the playoffs. So if they tied, both would have been in. Everybody would have been happy, and the added bonus, the Steelers would have been out. But no, Vegas had to go and kick a field goal in the last couple minutes and ruin the party for everybody. But Justin Herbert will be back next year, mark my words.
I don't doubt it either. I could see Justin coming back too next year. But damn, that game was crucial. I've never seen so many haters with the Raiders and versus Chargers. I mean, of course, you're LA territory. LA territory is going to do a lot. But going back, there's a lot of Niners. Going back to the Niners versus LA Rams. I've never seen so many Niners fan at one game. That stadium was filled by every Niners fan, every two other people. If you would notice, the cameras. And I can, when I was watching the Raiders and Chargers, it was the same deal. I mean, you still had the Raiders come from, well known from the Oakland, right?
Yes. Well, I could make the running joke that that's because half of Los Angeles probably had COVID and couldn't get into the stadium. That may be why.
Oh man, I swear, it was a good time to be in LA, to be honest.
Well, going back to the Raiders and the Chargers game, you know who I blame?
Oh.
Well, because this was the first time I openly heard commentators on the air talking about why don't they just take a tie? That way, everybody I was surprised that Collinsworth just kept saying they should tie and that everybody's happy. You're guaranteeing yourself a trip to the playoffs. That's what he was saying. But you know who I blame for that situation in the first place? The Tennessee Titans. All they had to do to get in the playoffs was beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. And not only did they not beat them, they got spanked. What happened to the Colts? I'm not saying Colts were world beaters, but they were better than the Jaguars, but not that day.
Right. No, definitely.
And the Jags ended up winning twice because Lions beating the Packers meant the Jags still had the number one pick. So Sunday was a good day to be a Jags fan. One of the few, but it was a good day. Okay, now that we're done the regular season, get that all out of here. Now it's time for the playoffs. So, KC, here's the breakdown. AFC, number 1 seed's Tennessee, 2 is Kansas City, 3 is Buffalo, 4 Cincinnati. Then the wild cards in order are the Vegas Raiders, New England Patriots, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. NFC side, number 1 seed's Green Bay. Division winners are Tampa Bay, Dallas, and the Rams. And the wild cards are the Cardinals and the Niners and the Eagles. So, it's prediction time, KC.
Ooh.
But I'm going to jump to the end first. That way we don't accidentally contradict ourselves making our predictions, because I guarantee you I will do that. So, going all the way to the end, KC, playoff time. Nobody's played a game yet. Who you got in the Super Bowl?
To be honest, I could see... Oh, I'm going to get killed for this. I could see LA Rams versus the Raiders.
Wow, that was heart picks all the way.
Yeah,
I promise that was all heart. There was no logic applied to either one of those picks. Okay, so for me, on the AFC side, I don't think Tennessee's going to make it, just because I think they're vulnerable to get, because the last time I checked, Derrick Henry is not coming back. So with that in mind, I think it could either be Kansas City or whoever wins the Buffalo Bills and New England Patriots game. Because both of those teams seem to be consistent a little bit, in my opinion, more than others. But even if both of those teams get through, they would probably end up having to go through Kansas City at some point. So I'm going to go ahead and say Kansas City's my AFC pick.
Okay.
And for the NFC, I would love to say the winner of the Cardinals and the Rams, but I don't know if anybody's going to be able to go up and beat Green Bay in Lambeau. And I really don't want to say that. I want to pick somebody else. You know what? I am going to pick somebody else. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay for the NFC. Why not? My second cousin Tom is probably going to go back. How about that?
Okay, actually, okay. I agree with this. I'm okay with it too. Wow. I'm definitely fine with this.
I'm doing a Katie thing. That's more of heart than head, because I don't logically see anybody beating Green Bay, but I don't want to pick Green Bay, so I'm going to go with Tampa.
And that is perfectly fine by me. That is a Katie, and that is fine.
You're rubbing off on me, and I don't like it.
Whatever we can do to show our haters that no, I will not pick your team. I like it. I like your strategy.
Okay.
I like it.
Now let's get into predictions for this weekend. We're going to go chronologically as the games will be played this weekend. So the first game is the 5 seed Las Vegas Raiders are going to Cincinnati to play the 4 seed Bengals. Katie, who you got?
So for the first one, definitely you already know who I'm going to say. It's going to be the Raiders.
Good, because I'm going Bengals. I like Joe.
Right,
I like Joe Burrow. Like I don't like him. Justin Herbert like him, but I do like that he has what he's done with the Bengals because nobody saw them doing anything. So they're kind of my under. Like if I had money to bet burn, I'd bet on Cincinnati just out of heart pick because nobody's going to pick them to go. But they've proved everybody wrong so far. So give me the Bengals.
Okay.
All right, next game, and I think I know where you're going with this one too. The 6 seed New England Patriots are going into Buffalo to play the Bills. Who you got?
Come on, man. It's going to be my beloved Patriots.
So I like when you're predictable because then I can plan my sarcastic response.
Of course.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. I know you haven't heard it since 2021, but for the first time this year, we're going to do Shawn's OOK pick of the week. That's right. It's time to go opposite of Katie. Give me the Bills. Because I really don't have any idea who's winning this one. So, yeah, just give me whatever Katie didn't pick.
Okay.
All right, next game. The 7 seed Philadelphia Eagles are going to Tampa Bay to play my second cousin Tom and the Buccaneers. Katie, who you got?
The Buccaneers, of course. It's not a question. It's going to be the Buccaneers on this game.
I agree with you. Although I know I picked the Bucs officially for my Super Bowl pick, but I was doing some research earlier and I realized with the exception of one game, every game they won this year, they had to score at least 28 points to win. So if they run into a team that has a legitimate defense, it could be tough for them. But I don't see Philly being that team. So give me the Bucs. Next game is the number 6 San Francisco 49ers going to Dallas to play the Dallas Cowboys. Who you got, Katie?
The Niners! The Niners are going to take the Cowboys. Ain't no joke about it. I got you there.
All right, so you ready for the surprise?
Let me guess, you're going for the other way.
No. I agree with you. I think the Niners are going to go in there and upset the Cowboys because after I started looking at the Cowboys schedule, they really only had one game that I would qualify as a big win. All the other games that they played were either teams within the division or they were just games that they weren't playing good teams.
Right.
So I think they only had one big win. So I don't think, let's put it this way. They played the Eagles last week, and the Eagles, who didn't play anybody because they knew they were in the playoffs already, but the Giants, but the Cowboys still felt compelled to go out there and play their starters so they could get some momentum to get right. If you were going to be the 3 seed in your conference, you shouldn't have to go out there and worry about getting momentum. You should just be able to execute. So that was a big red flag to me. So go ahead and give me the Niners. All right. And I need mouthwash after I said that. So, all right, the next game, the number 7 Pittsburgh Steelers are going into Arrowhead to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Who you got, Katie?
The Chiefs on this game. You?
Chiefs all day.
Actually, all right.
Like Ben Roethlisberger, you got lucky because the Colts couldn't finish, but your luck ends here. It was a good career. Bon voyage. Arrivederci, whatever the term is, but your time is up. Get out of here. Give me Chiefs. And the last game, which I personally think is the game of the weekend. My beloved Cardinals are going into L.A. to play the Rams for the 3rd time this year. Katie, who you got?
L.A. Rams. Come on. This is what makes frenemies. This is the reason why we're called what we're called. I am going for the L.A. Rams.
So to steal a line from Katie, I hate you. I'm taking my Cardinals. I gotta have faith. The last time we went to LA, we beat them. I want to make some sarcastic joke that the Cardinals intentionally got the 5 seed because they've been playing better on the road than they have at home. Now, having said all that, I'm scared to death. I'm not gonna lie to you because my team can be awesome, but the last month or so they look like they've been barely scraping by. So I'm hoping that they get it together, and I'm just hoping that they could just pull it off. But give me the Cardinals.
Hey, all right. That's a fair game, the fair win. Okay.
Okay, folks, that wraps up our predictions for this week, and I would just like to point out that 3 of the 4 teams in NFC West made the playoffs. I won't say which team didn't, but there you go. And with that, it is time to move on to our next topic, as Katie sits there at the screen mad at me.
Can we talk about something else?
Okay, folks, on to our next topic, which is going to be more NFL, but specifically the NFL awards. Now, before we get started, before I start getting all yelled at and added on Twitter and all that stuff, I did not come up with these candidates. These are based off of VegasInsider.com of who the leading odds makers have picked to get these awards. So if you think, why did I put somebody on this list? I didn't put them on the list. Vegas put them on the list. But anyway, here we go, Katie. We're going to run it down. First, the big one, the MVP. Your candidates are as follows. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Packers. Tom Brady, quarterback of the Buccaneers. Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Bengals. Jonathan Taylor, running back for the Colts. Josh Allen, quarterback of the Bills. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver for the Rams. And Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the Chiefs.
This one you have to already kind of know. Brady, especially because I am a long-time Patriots fan. I mean, I do love him. And I follow this man anywhere.
Mac Jones wasn't on the list.
Ha 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 ha. Ha ha. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, it is Tom Brady. I will be giving it to Tom Brady. No matter what my haters say to me, no matter what my other co-partner over here says to me, no matter what my fiance says to me, it is Tom Brady.
Okay, so my heart agrees with you, but we seem to be having this heart-head discussion a lot this week.
Yeah.
But the problem with the heart when it comes to giving out awards is nobody cares about the heart. And one of the things that always drives me crazy the most, especially in like baseball, is when baseball writers refuse to vote for a guy just because they think he's a jerk to them. I'm like yelling at them, put your personal feelings aside, look at the numbers. That's what determines who it is, not how nice they were to you. So my heart would be like, screw this guy. I think he's been a jerk. I've grown to actually not like him. But when I look at the numbers, I have to give it to Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. I would love to give it to somebody else, but I don't think he's been awesome. I just think everybody else has been so average that he's the only one that kind of has his head a little bit higher than everybody else.
Yeah, he's aight.
Well, actually, what I was thinking Brady, I was trying to get away to get to Brady until I came across the fact Aaron Rodgers has thrown only 4 interceptions all year. And you throw in the fact the one game he missed, the Packers look like a JV high school football team. So it shows his value there quite a bit. Okay, next award. And there's only 2 candidates for this one, apparently. Offensive Player of the Year. Your candidates are Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor.
I'm going to give it to Jonathan Taylor.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Reasons, I mean, after looking at numbers, reality, and I know if I look the other way, Cooper Kupp might have bigger numbers and stuff, but it's Jonathan Taylor for me.
Okay, so as you mentioned numbers, Cooper Kupp had 145 receptions, 1,947 yards, which averaged out to about 114 and a half yards per game, and 16 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor had 1,811 yards, 18 touchdowns, which averaged out to 106.5 yards per game. He also had 659 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. When it comes to Jonathan Taylor, every rushing category I mentioned he was tops in the league, with the exception of yards per game, because that title still goes to Derrick Henry, who, by the way, still finished in the top 10 in rushing, even though he only played 8 games. That's how dominant he was. But with Cooper Kupp, he basically pulled off the Triple Crown. He led the league in all 3 categories. So going into Week 18, I had no issues with either one of these guys getting these awards. But then Week 18 happened. And I'm sorry, I can't give Offensive Player of the Year to a guy whose team didn't make the playoffs when they had to win to get in. So Sorry, Jonathan Taylor. You were my front runner until week 18, but I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp. All right, next one. Defensive Player of the Year. Your candidates are T.J. Watt, Micah Parsons, Aaron Donald, Trayvon Diggs, Myles Garrett, and Robert Quinn. Katie, who you got?
I'm going to say...
By the way, there's only one correct answer.
Let me guess. You're going to say T.J. Watt.
Absolutely.
Why?
He's tied the NFL record for sacks. And oh, by the way, had 5 forced fumbles and 3 fumble recoveries, which out of everybody on this list, he leads both of those categories. Yeah, I'm going to give it to TJ Watt. All right, next one, Comeback Player of the Year. And for those that don't know, this category is pretty much not so much improvement, but somebody who was literally gone from the game last year, usually due to injury or what have you. And then this year they've come back what appears to be stronger than ever. That's what this category is based off. And your 4 candidates are Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Nick Bosa, and Carson Wentz, which to my knowledge, all 4 of them had significant season-ending injuries last year. So, Katie, who you got?
I'm looking at Prescott, and honestly, Prescott is pretty impressing so far. So I'm going to have to give it to Prescott.
Well, I'm glad you went with Prescott because I'm going with Joe Burrow. And it's for one reason and one reason only. If I asked you at the beginning of the season which team in the NFC East you thought would win the division, unilaterally almost everybody would probably have said the Cowboys. If I asked you who was going to win the AFC North, how many people would have said the Bengals? None. And if you're saying you did, you either live in Cincinnati or you're lying. One of the two. So with me, give it to Joe Burrow because he took his team to places that nobody expected him to go. So he's my winner for that one. All right, next one, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm going to tell you right now, again, Katie, there's only one correct answer on this one. But your candidates, according to the website, are Jamar Chase and Mac Jones. But I'm going to personally throw in 2 more just because I think they deserve to be recognized because of their good season. I'm going to throw in Najee Harris and Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions. Both of those guys, every time I turned on Red Zone, seemed like they were doing something awesome. So I want to give them a shout-out, even though they're not officially on the Vegas list. But out of those candidates, Katie, who you got?
I got to give it to... So you threw in the last 2. Jamar Chase.
Ding, 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 ding. There is your answer, Katie. This man broke records. I think I want to say he set the rookie record for yards, and I want to say touchdowns. If he didn't break it, he's either broke it or is right behind Jerry Rice. But if you're on any list and the other person you're on with is Jerry Rice, that means you did good. So give me Jamar Chase all day. And to be blunt, I know you're a Patriots fan, so you don't want to hear this, but I don't even know why Mac Jones is on this list. That's quarterback favoritism 101 because he did good. He probably was the best quarterback of the class, but he didn't belong on this list. I'm sorry. Which is why I felt obligated to throw in the other 2 guys.
Okay, that's fair.
The next one is the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And again, according to Vegas, there's really only 2 candidates. The first one is Micah Parsons. The other one is Patrick Surtain. Katie, who you got?
Micah Parsons. That's who I got. Micah Parsons.
I would agree with you because as much as I'm not a Cowboys fan, every time I did see the Cowboys on TV, he seemed to be everywhere, wherever the football was. So that one was pretty easy choice. Okay, the next one, I think I might have made this category up because I know they used to do it, but I don't think they do it anymore because I couldn't find any odds on it. And the next one is Most Improved Player. So not necessarily somebody who was out last year due to injury, but just basically improved this year. And scrolling through the league, I found 4 names I thought were worthy of this to even be mentioned. I threw in Cordero Patterson, the running back / wide receiver for the Falcons. Jalen Hurts, because in his second season, he did carry his team to a playoff berth. I got Deebo Samuel, who is supposed to be a wide receiver, but apparently now he's the best running back on their team too. And Tyler Heineke, the quarterback for the Washington football team, who before this season, he went toe-to-toe with Tom Brady, but he still lost. And this year, I told you beginning of the year, he was slinging it. So, Katie, of those 4, who you got is most improved?
I mean, based on numbers and stuff, I'm going to give it to Patterson.
Any explanation or just?
I mean, why is this even a category?
I told you I made it up. It's to recognize player improvement.
Then I'm going to give it to my Seahawks. They should have team of improvement.
You do realize that they did not improve at all this year.
Shh. Shh.
And it's not a team award. It's an
In
individual
my
award.
damn heart, they did. Damn it. It's not Coach of the Year. Get me Coach of the Year and I'll be happy.
Okay, well, we're not on Coach of the Year. We're still on Most Improved. But this should make your fiance happy, but I'm going to say Deebo Samuel. Because coming in this year, people were wondering if he was even a legit number 2 wide receiver, let alone a number 1, and let alone the best running back on their team. He is probably the main reason the Niners ended up getting the Super Bowl. I know Garoppolo had the drive, but if you count the 5 or 6 games leading up to that, it was pretty much Deebo Samuel.
Wow.
So tell Danny that I actually, for the second time in the same episode, gave the Niners credit, and I'm going to go brush my teeth now.
With soap.
Yes. All right. Here you go, Katie. This one is for you, although I'm going to tell you right now the Seahawks aren't on it. Coach of the Year. Your options are Zach Taylor of Cincinnati, Matt LaFleur of Green Bay, Mike Vrabel of Tennessee, Bill Belichick of New England, Nick Sirianni of Philly, and I threw in here at the end Rich Bisaccia of the Raiders. So he wasn't on the list, but I'm throwing him in there, which probably gives away who I'm going to give it to. But who's your Coach of the Year, Katie?
Oh, I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be what my heart wants at the end. And Coach of the Year is going to my beloved Pete Carroll. Love that man. He seems like he could be my damn grandpa who I visit on the weekends and, have a nice time and picnic and, whatever not. But in all honesty, Pete Carroll will always be my Coach of the Year. So to my haters, Pete Carroll it is. I know he's not on the list, but he's on my list.
So is this more along the lines of career Coach of the Year award because he's probably going to get fired? Or do you have insight that I don't know about? What is this?
No, I don't have insight, but I just want everybody to know that he is the most adorable thing to watch out on the field. The way he yells at refs and the way he just goes ham is just insane. I guess if it can't be Pete Carroll, then I'm actually going to give it to I'm going to give it to Zach Taylor. Let's just go with that and let's just end it there. Zach Taylor, you are my pick of the year.
Okay, so as surprising as this may sound, I do think Zach Taylor should win this award. I think he will win this award because, again, just like Joe Burrow, he had the Bengals do something that nobody thought they would do. But I did want to give the shout out because I do think the winner should be Rich Bisaccia, if I can say his name correctly. As much as I like the guy, I can't pronounce his name to save my life. What he did with the Raiders after the John Gruden fiasco, I think deserves all the credit in the world. I'm thinking he's not on this list because he's technically still the interim coach, but I think he should be Coach of the Year. But I do think Zach Taylor of the Bengals will win it. Speaking of coaches, I just want to get your thoughts on whether any of these surprise you or not. The coaching changes that have come down in the last week or so. Mike Zimmer is gone as coach of the Vikings and GM Rick Spielman. Matt Nagy, to delight of many Bears fans, he's out as coach, as well as GM Ryan Pace. Brian Flores, the Dolphins let him go. Vic Fangio, Broncos let him go. We already know about Urban Meyer and John Gruden being let go. And then recently, the latest ones I've seen is Joe Judge is out as coach of the Giants, as well as the GM David Gettleman, who quote-unquote retired. So, Katie, do any of these surprise you? And if so, which one?
Nope, none of them do. I mean, we all... Oh, Katie.
Katie just handed out pink slips. You get fired, and you get fired. No, I don't care. I'm not surprised. You get fired.
I'm not. I mean, teams will do what they need to do to make sure they get that W and get themselves to at least the playoffs or to the Super Bowl. So I honestly don't think that any of these are that much. I mean, maybe the Mike Zimmer, maybe. I don't know. I have to look a little bit more into it, but Please, Shawn, enlighten me with the one you think is surprising, because I know if it's surprising to you, it actually should be surprising to me.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but there are two actually on this list
I knew it.
That
I knew it.
If you told me they were fired, maybe surprise was not the right word. I'm just more of got like a oh really reaction more than anything else. The first one was Brian Flores of the Dolphins. He at the end of the year he had that team playing better than they probably should have been. Now, granted, they were playing against lower talented opponents. I get all that, but he ended the season strong. However, I also not surprised because you can't start the season 1-7 and expect to keep your job. So I'm surprised, but not surprised. The one that actually did surprise me was Vic Fangio. And I know the Broncos have had like 5 losing seasons in a row, and that's really the reason he was let go. But they were finally showing improvement. It's weird that you held on to him for this long, and then when they finally show improvement, now you decide to let him go. So that one did kind of catch me a little off guard. But the rest of these, yeah, I think most everybody could see coming. All right, Katie, that wraps up the regular season for the NFL. Before we move on, is there anything you would like to add about this season that we just wrapped up besides how awesome the Seahawks are?
No, you just summarized it for me right there and now. The Seahawks are amazing.
Maybe they will be next year, but it's okay. Just let me know what channel they're on for the playoffs so I can make sure I record their game.
Don't worry, everybody. I'll be coming back real soon. Real soon.
All right, let's go ahead and let's move on to our next topic. Okay, the next topic is probably the last time we're going to discuss college football between now and the season come around next year.
Yes.
So
I have been so disappointed by the way they tally their points and stuff. So please hit me. Hit me with your best shot right now.
Okay, we're going to go back to New Year's Eve because, again, we haven't had an episode since 2021. Katie, did you have any thoughts on the semifinals where Alabama beat Cincinnati and where Georgia beat Michigan?
I just want you to know that Cincinnati made it up there, okay? Cincinnati was not looked at the beginning, and I am glad that they showed them wrong, but I'm at the verge where college football is not in my heart anymore because it doesn't tally up how it should be, and the way they are rated, I just don't agree with it. But I'm glad that Cincinnati made it up, and you know the whole Alabama beat Cincinnati. Cool. I see the 27-16, but in all honesty, Cincinnati could have had it.
Right. Yeah. Like everybody was saying, Cincinnati didn't belong there. They're going to get blown out by 50. And I've said this before. My response to that was, I don't care if they get blown out by 50. They've earned the right to get blown out by 50. And then, in the same breath, I turn around and say, having said that, I want Cincinnati to have a respectable showing because if they do get blown up by 50, there'll never be another non-Power 5 team make it. And I got to be honest with you, I think they had a respectable showing. Now, offense was pretty much non-existent, but they went up against Alabama, the number 1 team in the country, and they literally only lost by 11 points. And I said, wow. Yeah, as long as they're within 2 touchdowns, to me, that's a respectable showing. So right. We're talking about Alabama team that loves to run up the score. Like Nick Saban literally says, if you don't want us to score, stop us. And Alabama only put up 27. And for those that says that game was proof that Cincinnati did not belong, I would be interested to hear their thoughts on Michigan, who lost to a team that theoretically was a lesser opponent, but they lost by more points. They lost by 23 points to Georgia. Now, granted, hindsight after what happened in the championship game, we now know Georgia is officially, quote-unquote, the better team. But going into that game, everybody said Alabama was better than Georgia, but yet Cincinnati was closer to Alabama than Michigan was to Georgia. So anybody who says Cincinnati shouldn't belong, I want to hear your opinion on whether you thought Michigan should have belonged.
I agree entirely with you, Shawn. Entirely with you. I agree.
Okay. Moving fast forward to earlier this week, the championship game, Georgia has finally done it. They beat Alabama 33-18 to win their first championship in 41 years. And Katie, I got to be honest with you, the first quarter was boring as hell. Or excuse me, the first half was boring as hell. There was not a single touchdown scored until the third quarter. Now, once the third quarter came, it seemed like all hell broke loose because all of a sudden there was crazy plays, big-time turnovers, and the scoreboard started getting lit up. But the one play, and I don't know if you saw it, Katie, but there was one play that I thought was a perfect example of what college coaches talk about, like always run to the ball. There was a play where the Georgia quarterback went to throw the ball, got hit. Everybody in the world thought it was an incomplete pass because the ball went forward. The Alabama player just nonchalantly runs over there, catches the ball. He appears like he's out of bounds, and then all of a sudden the refs are coming out saying it was a fumble and Alabama had recovered. So they first had to see if it was indeed a fumble, which it turned out was. But then everybody's like, but the ball was out of bounds. He was out of bounds when he caught it. But then they went to the replay, and there was just a little sliver of green grass between his shoe and the white line. And I thought that was a perfect example of what coaches always talk about, of always finish the play, always go get the ball. Now, this guy had no idea that he was actually recovering a fumble. He thought it was out of bounds, too. You can't tell me that he thought that was a live ball the way he was. He picked it up so nonchalantly that it looked like he thought he was catching an egg. That's how gently he caught the ball. So, and at that point in time in the game, I thought, here we go again. Here's where Georgia loses to Alabama again. And Alabama did take the lead after that. But then Georgia turned around, turned on their offense, scored a couple touchdowns, had a pick six to end the game. And it actually turned out to be a very good game. But the thing I couldn't help but notice, and I really hadn't paid attention to college football, so shame on me for not catching this before. Katie, do you know the name of the Georgia quarterback?
No.
Okay. Neither did I before the game. Because I've heard his name. I knew his name was Bennett, but I never heard his full name until the broadcast. His first name is Stetson, like the cologne. Like, I don't know if you remember the old commercials, Stetson cologne, like it was deemed to be musky, like.
No, I remember that cologne because my dad went out and bought the cologne. Right. I do know that. Yes.
Cologne, yes. Come to find out, his full name is Stetson Bennett IV. So, I'm not trying to make fun of the young man's name because he didn't name himself. But I'm sorry, there is nothing more true to form than a quarterback from the deep South being named Stetson Bennett IV. That's almost like Americana and apple pie. Yeah, like if you asked me where he was the quarterback for what team, I would have guessed it was somewhere in the South.
Yeah. Wow. I actually didn't even know that, but I
just had to get that out there because I spent the whole game going, his name is Stetson?
Why?
Well, by the way, that young man will never have to pay for a meal or a drink in the state of Georgia for the rest of his life. He's set.
I bet.
He's going to move into the mayor's mansion. I mean,
by any chance, is he in relations to the Cologne guy?
Given it's his first name, I would doubt it, but I have no idea.
Okay. Just, just thought.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this, Katie. When people look back on this college football season, what do you think they're going to remember the most?
That Katie said USC, and they suck, and they have not shown improvement, and this is the reason why my faith in college football has now decreased even more.
But you guys are getting Lincoln Riley. All's good now, right? Right?
Oh, yay, great. It takes time to build a team, not overnight. Okay, sir? So, the next time that we speak about college football, if USC is even listening, I'm not entirely happy. So, until they show improvement, until they show a little bit of cooperation and teamwork.
Whoa. Do I need to remind you who my team is?
No, actually do not remind me of what your team is because it's even sadder, but exactly. I just want you to know. Yeah. I don't...
You're like the Alabama fans that are complaining that they lost. Like,
yeah,
you lost. Big whoop. Like, USC's down right now. Big whoop. Like, my team hasn't been relevant in 80 years.
I know. I shouldn't be complaining, but I am. So
back to my question before you made it all about Katie again. When fans look back at this season, what do you think they're going to remember more? The fact that Georgia won the title or the fact that Cincinnati made the playoff?
that Cincinnati made the playoffs, because back at the beginning, a lot of people did not have faith in Cincinnati, and they thought Cincinnati was a joke. So the fact that Cincinnati showed what they're made of and went up there, up to the board, I think that's what they're going to remember. I mean, overall.
I would like to agree with you, but I think the answer kind of depends on what happens next. Like, if this is the first instance where non-Power 5 teams start making the playoff, then I would agree with you. But if this is kind of a one-off, then everybody's going to remember Georgia winning for the first time in 41 years. Because that's a tough thing to overshadow. And with that, Katie, to both of our likings, that concludes our coverage of the college football season. We'll talk to you again about it next September. Agreed?
Yes, I guess.
Next September's already too soon, folks.
Yeah, it's like if it's tomorrow. So, yay.
All right, and we're going to move on to our last segment. Okay, folks, we've reached the last segment of the program, and we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to go with our famous Hodgepodge collaboration of topics, because it's been a while since we've done an episode for you guys. So we're going to just hit some of the big topics throughout what's happened since we've been gone. But we are going to kind of just blow through these because, to be blunt, a lot of these are now old news, but we just want to give them a nod that, hey, acknowledge that they happened. The first one happened actually right after we finished our last episode, Katie, the Urban Meyer firing. The words "not soon enough" to me come to mind. I do think it's kind of ironic, though, that the final straw was when he decided to kick one of his players, who happens to be the team's kicker. So I was confused of why he felt the need to kick the one guy on the team that I can guarantee can kick harder back. But that ended up being his final straw. But he hired a guy right out the gate that had accusations of being racist. He signed Tim Tebow to play a position he never played ever before, which, by the way, that's not Tim Tebow's fault. That's Urban Meyer's fault. Then, after a Thursday night game, he's caught in a bar with a woman that's not his wife, which was bad enough. But then when he went to apologize, they sent out another video, the same situation where he's putting his hand down her pants. And by the way, all this is while his team is habitually losing. So I said not soon enough. But Katie, what are your thoughts?
Jesus, Brady, you just had to lay that one on us, huh? Damn. I mean, I saw a glimpse of it, but Jesus, all of that?
You know the I forget his name, but the German soccer coach who always seems to be caught on video sniffing his fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That video looked a lot like that, except it wasn't his pants that he was putting his hands down. It was hers. So.
Oh, God, no. Jesus. Midlife crisis, I don't know, a cry out for help of life. Wow.
Well, when you put it that way,
there you go.
he's coaching the Jags, so that might be a midlife crisis.
Coaching the Jags and getting fired from the Jags. What else is new?
Okay, so next one. Again, these are going to be rapid fire. The Dan Snyder investigation. And for those that don't remember, this is the same investigation that somehow got around to getting John Gruden fired. But it actually came out recently that Daniel Snyder's attorneys were trying to block a key accuser from speaking with the investigator. They even, I think, sued the investigator at one point to try to delay the process. All at the same time, while Dan Snyder's saying, yeah, we're going to fully cooperate. This, and by the way, this is all things that obviously Dan Snyder and his attorneys deny. But even if it's true, none of it's really surprising to me. Katie, you got any thoughts on this? Does it surprise you at all?
I mean, after kind of looking into it, it doesn't surprise me. And anybody will do anything for big money and for keeping someone safe and making sure that they keep on getting paid. So no, it doesn't surprise me.
The only part of the story that I think actually bothered me when it came out was the NFL tried to say that he didn't interfere with the investigation, but they did it in a manner where they weren't saying he didn't try to interfere. They were just saying he wasn't successful in interfering. And
Yeah.
the fact he even tried is the real problem here. I hate to say it like that, but just because the fact it didn't work doesn't mean that he should get a pass on it. But that's my only big gripe about it.
No, definitely.
Next topic, and this one's a little sad, but I want to make sure we acknowledge it. John Madden actually passed away December 28th. He was 85 years old. Let's do a little word association with this, Katie. If I had said the name John Madden, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you?
The Oakland Raiders.
Oh, okay. I was almost positive you were going to say the video game.
No.
I do believe that there's a whole demographic of younger individuals who failed to realize that John Madden was actually a great coach and an awesome broadcaster. They just think he was the guy that does the video game.
I mean, I am sad about John Madden. I am.
Because he is still have the highest winning percentage among coaches that have coached more than 100 games, which is saying something. Because that winning percentage is over 75%, which means he was good at what he did. But the thing I remember about John Madden is I wasn't around for his coaching very much, but I was definitely around for his broadcasting, especially with Pat Summerall. And I don't know if he was the first one to do it. I think he was, but he was the first one I saw use the telestrator. You know how you see all these analysis? They draw on the screen with their little fancy pen, and they draw the routes, and they highlight the player. John Madden, to my knowledge, was the first one to do that. So I think he revolutionized the way broadcasters call games. But I grew up with him and Pat Summerall calling football games, and him going like, boom! Yeah, I like that. Also, rest in peace shout out goes to Miss Betty White, who passed away on New Year's Eve at age 99. She was going to turn 100, I want to say the 17th of this month. I think that was her birthday. So go ahead, Katie. The floor is yours for Miss Betty White.
Man, this one actually really did touch the heart. I mean, Betty White was just very well known all around. She did comedy, she did early television shows, she did early television movies. She even did a lot of, she came out on Comedy Central for God's sakes and still knew how to make touch the audience heart. So, I mean, Betty White had overall a very great career. And not to mention, she did volunteer as a World War II vet. Not a World War II vet, I'm sorry. She volunteered as a World War II, like a nursing, right? Or like
the Nurse
Red
Corps.
Cross.
Yeah.
The Nurse Corps, yeah, there you go. And, it was very touching that, she did a lot for the community. She was a very advocate for pets. I know she overall loved dogs. She had a great big heart for them. And so I know she had an Australian Shepherd. So the fact that, she is an Aussie owner, she was, touched my heart because Simba, of course. But overall, I mean, it was very shocking to me. I know she was hoping for a big bang of her 100. She was celebrating big. But, after the medical reports and examiners did their job, they comes to a conclusion that 6 days before, Betty did have a stroke. So it was the cause of death for the New Year's Eve. So I mean, this one did get me. So
yeah, and just to show how awesome Betty White was, I do remember her primarily from the Golden Girls first and foremost as I was growing up. But even my now 13-year-old daughter knew and loved Betty White.
Yeah,
as awesome as it was, she liked Betty White. She thought she was hilarious. So she touched many generations.
Yeah. No, there is a lot going on. I mean, it got to a part where I think I kind of was like, hey, Mom, Betty White, she's a hardcore Hispanic, my mom. And she was like, no way. And I was like, you know who that is? She goes, yeah. She goes, she's on Comedy Central. She's done like the Golden Girls. Like,
oh, everybody knew who Betty White was. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, it's a very sad. I honestly was looking forward for the 100. She did a lot of big celebrations for her 90s. So I know she was going out with the bang for 100. So, and I think we're still going to celebrate and raise a beer or raise a toast or, do it for Betty for her birthday.
Okay. So with that, rest in peace, John Madden. Rest in peace, Betty White. We'll raise a glass and Godspeed. The next topic. Speaking of Godspeed and wishing somebody the best on their future endeavors, Antonio Brown decided to basically quit on his team in the middle of the third quarter, took off his jersey, ran off the field, giving thumbs up, or not thumbs up, the peace sign to the fans. A few days later, he's saying that he didn't quit on his team. He was being forced to play hurt, and he's apparently got bone issues going on with his ankle where it's causing him a lot of pain. He says the Buccaneers knew about it. The Buccaneers are saying he was cleared to play. So now it's turned into a team said, player said situation. But the only thing I could take from it, and I wish I could remember who said it because I want to give them credit, but somebody had announced, congratulations to Antonio Brown. Besides Vontae Davis, you are the second player to retire in game, like during a game going on. Because whether you know it or not, Antonio Brown, you probably just retired. If he needs the mental health counseling to get better, then I hope he gets it. But the one part I will say is him getting better on that aspect of his life does not require him to play football. He needs to focus on that. So, Katie, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I saw the glimpse of the video, especially before we got on, and then, kind of looking into it and hearing the comments about it. The way he exited that game, doing jumping jacks, throwing the peace sign, all the way going through, even though he had an extended severity injury to his ankle, says a lot. I mean, it's kind of like, if I was hurt from my ankle, you'll see me limp my way to the locker, throwing the peace sign up, saying, all right, I am completely done. I am injured. I cannot play on. I talked to the coach and it's not working out, so I'm going to go home. But there is no celebration with that. I mean, there's a lot of other things that are going on with him, and the way he did it, he should have known better.
Yeah, I'm with you. As somebody who has had ankle surgery in the past, when my ankle hurts, I don't even want to walk, let alone jog off the field and do peace signs. Like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm just getting out of there. Like, I'd be limping off before I'm hopping off.
When there's pain, you ain't doing nothing. You just want to get the hell out of there, go to bed, and just elevate that foot. So,
okay, that's enough NFL. No more NFL for the rest of the show, but we're going to blow through these last couple topics real quick because we got to acknowledge the return of Klay Thompson, the Splash Brother. He came back last Sunday after missing 941 days, pretty much 31 months. The last time he played was the 2019 NBA Finals Game 6. He missed 177 games. He comes back, scores 17 points in 20 minutes in a win over the Cavs. He had two separate injuries. One was an ACL. The other one was an Achilles. Katie, what are your thoughts on Klay Thompson finally getting back to the court?
It's a good comeback. He's finally back in the game, but it's a tough recovery game, especially the fact that he's coming back from an ACL and Achilles tour. I mean, that takes a lot from someone. And, that recovery time is not easy. I'm only speaking from a small a small incision I had for my knee and for repairing my meniscus, but Achilles and, ACL, I can only imagine the toughness that's going to get him to come back, but it's good to see him back on the court. So going to be waiting on to see how practice is going to go with him and also how everything else is going to line up for him. So we'll see this season.
Right. I'm right there with you. In fact, remember the running joke, how his team gave him a jersey that said 77 because he didn't make the All-NBA 75 team. I do think if he played last year, he would have been on that list. So these two injuries not only cost him time, but like the mental fortitude that he had to go through, not only for one injury, but both of them. Because remember, the news came out of him tearing his Achilles on draft day. Like, right as they were getting ready to draft James Wiseman, when they found out they were going to be without Klay Thompson for the whole year. So that had to be devastating, not just for the team, but especially for him, because he was coming off the ACL. The only thing, and I'm kind of saying this a little tongue-in-cheek, I'm glad he's back, but I kind of want him to suck, because right now they're neck and neck with our Suns, and I would like for us to be better in the standings. So welcome back, Klay Thompson. I hope you miss all your shots.
just wow. But let's give him the season. Let's see how he does. I know recovery time is going to be a lot crucial to him, and of course, coming back from just therapy sessions, making sure that he's only able and capable of doing what he can for right now. I know it's going to be kind of like a new thing, getting back to the court. It's like learning how to, not entirely how to walk again, but just kind of like getting a feel for it again. That's it. And once he gets the feel for it, I think we're just going to have him right back into where he was. So let's just hope for the best.
And our last hodgepodge. Katie, I saw this one. I'm going to throw it at you as our in-house resident MMA fan, expert, whatever term you want to fill in. I saw today the Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington are set to fight March 5th at UFC 272. I don't think the contracts are signed quite yet, but I do think it's about as final as it could be without the contracts being signed. And I also see that Colby Covington is already a heavy favorite. So, Katie, real quick, what are your thoughts?
Not gonna lie, I am actually surprised that this is happening, and to be honest, it's gonna be a really good fight between these two. I want to see how this goes. I mean, it should be a good. MMA for me is always a good fight. It's always bloody the way I like it. And yes, thank you, Simba. Yes, I know Simba. Me and him enjoy it very much. Watching the pre-fights of it, watching the women's fights of MMA. So, I mean, when is this supposed to set place, Brady?
As of now, March 5th.
It's a great start to the Pisces month. So, yes.
Yeah, you're just going to have to let me know how it goes. Because, like I said, you're the resident MMA guy. But make sure you let me know how this goes right after you let me know how that Seahawks playoff game goes.
And that wraps up today's conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Brady, for coming for a close real quick. If you ever want to find me, it is Katie1728 on Twitter. Brady, where can they find you? You know what? We'll find out March 5th. I don't care. Whatever. So, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Well, they could find me at Shawn_Brady82 on Twitter, or they can find the show at Excuse My Frenemy. And in case you guys haven't noticed, my one and only New Year's resolution was kind of poke more at Katie to get her riled up. And so far, mission accomplished.
Yeah, that last part. Thank you, everybody. Have a great damn New Year's. Whatever. The Seahawks are coming back. I don't need to hear this.
You're right. They are coming back next season. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with more topics.